So the whole transhumanism thing, right? The whole conspiracy theory that's all been proven to be right, where they're making chimeras and doing all sorts of experiments and all that fun, right? That's just a part of it, right? Because you got Elon Musk with his chips going in the brain and the whole next phase of evolution, and you got what is it, the Gilgamesh project trying to ascertain immortality, and the projections are that people are going to be immortal within the next 100 years, possibly sooner. Who knows? Maybe not ever, but the potential is there, and people are definitely working toward that. Right? There's genetic modifications that are happening at insanely rapid paces. Right? There's the CRISPR, the genetic modification setup to alter the DNA. It's a lot cheaper. It can be done in a garage or a shed if you're intelligent and capable enough to do the research, but it's very inexpensive. So there's all sorts of gene hacking capability that's happening right now, right? And then you have the whole integration with technology and right, because the gene splicing and all that fun, that's like bioengineering. Then you have technical engineering where you're integrating with technology, right? And we have that to a certain extent already, right? You can sit down on your ass and you can drive 80 miles an hour in your car. You can talk to somebody in China on your phone. So we have quite a bit, maybe not China, but we have quite a bit of cybernetic extensions, right? But it's going to continue, and it's going to continue to continue, right? And at what point are the incredibly wealthy going to be beyond human, right? Where the elite that have always assumed themselves to be superior are actually going to be superior. They can genetically alter their children before they're born, selectively choosing which embryos to mix with which sperm and take out whatever defects they want and put in some super memory, right? And then you can put in a chip and integrate them with the internet, and you can upload consciousness, and you can now control things with vast algorithms, right? And then you can upload all of this data into your chip, and you can have continual access to everything. Now, it's all sci-fi, right? But so is computers and smartphones and virtual reality, right? Because they want to give us just a little bit of the technology to keep us distracted, right? You have the whole metaverse and virtual reality. If you've ever tried it, right, the Oculus, that stuff is crazy. It's important because that's the direction that society is going. And if you're not in the loop, technologically speaking, you're going to be left behind, right? That's something that history has shown time and time again. At the same time, it is very, very dangerous when people choose to live in a synthetic reality as opposed to actual existence. Right? There's no connection with nature. There's no real connection with our fellow man. Right? We're inundated with all sorts of information that most people do not have the time or the will to decipher the truth. And then probably don't have the capacity to comprehend it, depending on the way that they're mentally inclined. Right? Some people disregard mathematics, and so they will never understand statistics and then never have a comprehension of larger numbers as a whole. Right? So their entire image of the world is going to be askew. Right? Now, as we continue through this velocipedic age of continual connection, right, high speed everything, we see the deterioration of a lot of concepts that have held humanity together for quite some time. Now, we've already had the separation from religion and morality and all of this, and we've seen quite a bit of the detrimental effects that have happened because of it, right? But there is a deadening that is happening where people are communicating through layer upon layer upon layer, and there's no depth to the conversation, right? There's no depth to the connection because everything is disposable, right? There's always more things, right? If you grow up in a small village and you're betrothed to some girl, you're going to have to be with her for your whole life, and you're going to live with these same people all the time. You can't just pick up and leave, right? Getting kicked out of the tribe was one of the worst things to ever happen. Now you can choose whatever tribe you want to go to, and if you have a problem with it, you can jump over to another one, right? And it's all done superficially, right? So there's no real check on the ego. There's no real time feedback, right? Because the people that are telling you how and what to live, they don't really love you. They don't really care. They just want you to be a part of their tribe as an affirmation of their own setup, right? You ever notice how when you're driving, people can be assholes? That same asshole that cuts in front of you in traffic is not going to cut in front of you at the grocery store where they have to look you eye to eye, right? The same person that's going to run their mouth on the internet is not going to do that face to face, right? Because there's layers, there's a distance, there's not a direct interaction, right? And so as we see this ever increasing barrier between people, this disconnect, and you can see that quite heavily, obviously, with all the restrictions that have been taking place due to this pandemic, right? We are greatly distanced. We no longer have a connection with each other, right? So everybody else becomes a part of the other, right? And you develop this psychopathy mentality, and it's not good, not by any stretch of the imagination. You add that in with the technological capability and the genetic capability that we as a species are going to be heading into, and then the massive class divide that's set up within. Yo, we're looking for some rough ways, and it's just something to keep in mind, you know. In this ever-changing world, things are going and going quite rapidly, and you can lose track of where things are and wake up one day and realize that the world is completely different than the one that you grew up in. And we can honestly say that now more than ever, right? Quite a tangent there. But yeah, transhumanism, the new age, I guess. We'll see. They think they can become gods, and I believe that it's going to be at everyone else's detriment. Maybe I'm wrong, but there's a lot of things that kind of back it up, and it's definitely something to keep an eye on and to keep informed about. The world is changing. We have more in common with each other than those that want us to fight.